Hope you had a good weekend. This is the video for your algebra lesson this week. You are only going to have one IXL lesson for this whole week in algebra because it's kind of involved. Plus, in order to do this lesson, you needed to do last week's lessons because it builds on that. And there were so many of you that didn't do all the lessons last week, or at least get to the ones that I think will help you be able to work this week. So if you did not get the ones from last week done, please continue practicing those. Then move on to this one. For those of you who did them all last week, great job. You just have this one. And then you also have to either send me a picture or a small video of you using math at home. But that's a whole nother YouTube clip. So anyway, what you were asked to do last week was multiply binomials. For example, x plus 4 times x plus 3. And we use FOIL to do that. And again, that was what you were supposed to work on last week, so I'm not going to reteach that. But once you use FOIL, here you get x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12. When you combine like terms in the middle, you get x squared plus 7x plus 12. So when they gave you this last week, this was your answer, this quadratic. And it's a quadratic because it has an exponent of 2. If you graphed it, it would make the u. All right, what this week's lesson is working backwards. It's called factoring quadratics. So for example, this week they're going to give you the quadratic and you have to factor it to see what it looked like before when it was in the parentheses. So let's do that together. So if it's x squared plus 7x plus 12, that's a quadratic. I know I'm going to be multiplying a binomial times another binomial. Just have to figure out what it is. And since it says x squared, the first thing I did was multiply x times x. So I know I have x and x. Now for these two numbers, that's what I need to figure out. I know that these two numbers need to add together to make 7x. And I know that they need to multiply to make 12. So if I go through my factors of 12, 12 times 1 would not make 7. 6 times 2 would make 12, but it wouldn't add up to 7. 4 times 3 would multiply to make 12, and it would add up to make 7. So let's plug that in and try. 4 and 3. So if I did first, I would get x squared. If I did outside, I would have 3x, inside 4x, so it would add up to 7x, and if I multiply them, I get 12. And since that's positive 12 and that's positive 7, these are both going to be positive. So I factored it out. All right, let me give you another one. Same thing. This one just has a negative sign in it. So for example, x squared minus 18x plus 17. So I'm factoring my quadratic. X squared, I know the first two are x, and I need to pick two numbers that when I multiply them, they make 17. And when I add them, they give me negative 18. So if I try my factors of 17, and since it's a prime number, it only has two factors, 1 and 17, so that makes it easy. Now if I multiply these two, I need it to be positive 17. So positive 1 times positive 17. If I add them, it needs to be negative 18. Positive 1 plus positive 17 does not give me negative 18. So I'm going to have to change their signs. Let's make them both negative. Negative 1 times negative 17 would be positive 17. That works. Negative 1 plus negative 17 does make negative 18. That works. So these two digits have to multiply to give me this, and they have to add together to give me this. So this quadratic would factor to look like this. Usually when I teach this in the classroom, we spend a couple days practicing these and using dry erase boards, and sometimes it's trial and error, plugging numbers in until they work. So I hate that this is the way we have to do it, but this is definitely something you need for 9th grade, for sure. So like I said, if you didn't do the ones from last week, go back and do those, then spend time on this. The IXL lesson where you practice this week is under the Algebra tab, and it is AA.4. You're going to 85, of course you can go further, but if you can get to 85, you'll have a pretty good grasp on these. Send me any questions, any screenshots, anything you need help with. And I hope to see you guys soon.